And welcome to another edition of Upon Further Review. My name is John Henrietto. I'm the sports editor of the Butler Eagle, flanked to my left by sports writer Mike Kilroy and to my right by sports writer Derek Pida. We are sponsored, as always, by Conlon Tarker, by Troy Allen Chevrolet Buick GMC, the Butler Health System, and Penn United Technologies. And looking at last week's action, gentlemen, some final scores I don't think any of us were quite expecting. Mike, looking at last week, what stands out for you in last week's action?
What stands out for me is Freeport and their penchant now for returning things.
Yeah.
Touchdowns. They did it 4 times against Uniontown. They did it 3 more times against York last week. It's different guys too. It's different guys doing the job. So already add that to an already pretty potent offense, and that's why they're scoring 50 almost every week now. North Catholic, we talked last week about how it's hard to figure them out. They win 13-3 one week, then they have a shootout the next week. They're a really difficult team to figure out. They're winning. And of course, Slippery Rock, the game I was at. Slippery Rock has potential to be one of the best teams in District 10 if they can clean things up. Again, they had a little sloppy game against Titusville, but when they were a clean team, they were almost unstoppable. So those are the 3 things that stuck out to me. Kudos to Freeport. Whatever they have in the water there for returns, they got to keep drinking it. Because that's 7 returns in 2 weeks. Yeah. That's interceptions, punts, kickoffs. They're doing it all. They're doing it all on special teams and defense.
Derek, what about you? What stands out from week, I lose track, what was it, week 5 last week? Whatever the heck it was, guy.
For the second straight year, we all picked Knock to be on tour.
I was trying to avoid that topic, Derek.
Lou Cerro has Knock's number. I mean, that's the best thing that's the only way I can describe this. 14-7, they hold that offense to 7 points. I didn't see that one coming.
No, I didn't see that one coming either, but I know, on last week's show, I did call for a close game. I did pick Knock to win a game, but none of us saw it. In fact, I don't know if anyone in Butler County who follows high school football saw Knock getting shut out offensively.
I'm sorry, Knock. Until you beat Montour, every time you play Montour, I got to pick against you now. Montour does have your number. I don't know why. Some teams have other teams' number. Montour seems to have yours. I don't know what it is, but I can't pick you anymore against Montour.
Anything else stand out for you?
Seneca Valley against North Allegheny. We all picked North Allegheny to win that game, but we all picked it to be like a 1-score game. And North Allegheny's up 21-0 after 1 quarter. That surprised me. I thought Seneca Valley would be able to hang in, and they take one on the chin, a 40-7 loss. So they're going to Hempfield this week, and we'll talk about this a little later. I don't think it's going to be easy for them. I don't think it's going to be an easy game for the Raiders.
What did surprise me was Teddy Ruffner doing Teddy Ruffner things.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, John.
No, that's all right. 31-0 at halftime. That NAA Senate game. That surprised me. Although I did talk to R. Walker Jr. earlier today. With them playing Butler this week, and he called that the best half of football his team's played all year, which is saying something because they've been rolling a lot of teams. Right. So, the thing that surprised me from last weekend, that you guys touched on a few things. I'm not going to repeat those, but I was surprised, though they lost the game, how well Montauk played Brookville last week, because I saw that Brookville team light it up against Coin City the previous week, and I figured, man, who's going to stop that passing game? But Montauk limited that. They stayed in the football game, and had it not been for their own turnovers, they might have won that game.
Yeah, it was kind of hard on Montauk last week, as I recall. I said they didn't, to an effect that they didn't have a chance to slow down Brookville in their passing game and Ian Thrush, but they proved me wrong. They certainly did. They were in it. They had a chance to win that game, like you said. The turnovers really hurt them. So maybe Montauk's turning a corner here a little bit. They're getting guys that were banged up and out. They're getting some of those guys back. I think they have an identity now with J.D. Desicino kind of carrying the load at running back. They got their quarterback back. He didn't have a great return, but he's got potential. He has a strong arm. He can put the ball down the field. And some of these speedy receivers, they get Ethan McDevitt back. He's by far the fastest guy they have. He's kind of an Ian Thrush kind of guy as far as speed goes. So they could be a dangerous team. They're winless, but I wouldn't want to play them here this last month of the season.
Well, plus I covered that Morris Shaler game. You mentioned Teddy Ruffner doing Teddy Ruffner things.
The toy everyone wants for Christmas.
I wish
Ruffner doll.
I was shocked when he had 35 carries in that game. I thought, man, that's a ton of carries for a high school kid. 35 carries for 321 yards and 5 touchdowns for Ruffner. Then I come back to the office that night and I find out that Cooper Baxter of Butler ran the ball 45 times, so for 197 yards. So kudos to these kids for being in that kind of shape.
Well, teams are starting.
You know they're taking a pounding.
Teams are starting to know who their bell cows are.
Oh, sure.
They're getting, obviously, at Butler, Cooper Baxter is by far their best athlete, their best weapon on offense, and you got to just commend the kid for what he's been able to do at Butler. They're having a rough season, but he's having a great season.
But man,
he's taking a beating. It's a wrestler though. The wrestlers are tough.
These kids are getting a lot of
carries.
carries.
Pelosi or quarterbacks that are wrestlers, and they both take beatings. They both carry the ball a lot. You know, there's something to be said for that wrestling mentality on the football field.
Even Matt Goodland of Knock last week.
Apparently he got pretty banged up.
He had 22 carries for 96 and returned an interception for their only touchdown. But I guess he was playing on really a bad ankle, a sore ankle. So kudos to him for getting it out through that game. I understand we got some information afterwards that he had trouble making it to the handshake line when that game was over. But anyway, we will move on to our first of 2 prime topics for this week's show. I'd be interested in getting your guys to take a little trip down memory lane here. We all 3 of us have been covering high school football for a lot of years now, and we may not want to admit that, but we have. And Derek, I'll start with you on this one. What is the most memorable high school football game you've ever covered, and why do you pick this game?
Well, it was a playoff game between Mars and Katanning back in 2006. This is back when the Planets were still a Double-A team. This would have been the first year that Bill Bear came onto the scene. His senior year ended up being incredibly great, but he kind of burst onto the scene as a junior in 2006. They hosted Katanning in a first-round playoff. The game was back and forth throughout. Katanning scores a touchdown with about 5 minutes to go up. And, of course, Mars gets the ball, and they just give the ball to Bear about 6 or 7 times. And Mars scores a touchdown with a little over a minute to go to score the go-ahead touchdown. The footnote to that is there was actually a little bit of time left on the clock, and Mars had to kick off, but Katanning fumbled the kickoff. So that pretty much ended the game there. And as they're trying to run out the clock with like a minute left, Bears suffered a concussion, and it kept them out of the next week's game where Mars lost to Greensburg Central Catholic. But that Katanning Mars game was back and forth, and the fact that it was a playoff game. I mean, anytime you throw in the fact that it's a postseason game and you know that whoever loses here, that's it, they're done. It just adds to the drama, and that game was so back and forth. I remember covering the game. It was a great game, great individual efforts on both sides. Mars Katanning 2006.
All right. Mike, what's your selection?
I have a pretty good one too. This is also a playoff game. Week before Thanksgiving, 2012, Sippy General McLean at SRU. To put it in perspective here, the teams combined for almost 1,000 yards rushing in this game. The final score was 46-42.
I remember that game.
McLean won, but some of the stats were amazing. 3 minutes into the game, Sippy running back Frank Conlon had 152 yards rushing. 3 minutes into the game. That's how wild this game was.
Yeah.
It was back and forth, big plays after big plays after big plays. McLean had 478 yards rushing. Sippy had over 400 yards rushing. Conlon ended up with 285 yards rushing on 13 carries. He only had 13 carries for almost 300 yards. It was just back and forth, crazy game. Sippy had that crazy offense where they had the wide splits, and they were wreaking havoc with defenses all year. And General McLean was a power that year. Obviously, from the stats they put up. Ryan Curry, Sippy quarterback, here's another cool stat. First 3 passes he threw all went for touchdowns. All went for long touchdowns, 114 yards. So it was just back and forth. And it would seem like it was one of those video games where whoever had the ball last was going to win, and ended up being General McLean. Sippy lost the game, but it was the most entertaining and most wild game to this date that I've seen.
My choice was for much more somber reasons, actually. 2011 first round WPIL playoff game. But this was pretty emotional. WPIL playoffs, West Allegheny at Knox first round. This kind of kickstarted Knox run Heinz Field that year where they lost to Montour. But it was also the week where Alex Summers, the senior Knox cheerleader, tragically killed in a car crash the Tuesday before the game. They buried her, had her funeral Friday morning, the same day of the game. Andrew Rumberg Goodland, the older brother of Matt Goodland, the current Knox running back, that was lost his girlfriend. They were dating for a long time. He played that night, ran for over 100 yards, was given a game ball after the game, and that just very hugely intense emotional ceremony after this game. But not won the game, by the way, 28-7 after falling behind 7-0. And they had this huge ceremony where they released balloons and Alex Summers' memory, and there were tears all over the place. And I looked over, and Bob Palco, who was the West Allegheny coach, had his team off to the corner of the field in the end zone, just kind of watching this whole ceremony. We're talking, this is well after the game, probably a half hour after the game. So I wandered over there and asked Coach Palco, Coach, if you don't mind me asking, why didn't you take your team to the locker room? They had ample opportunity to do that prior to this ceremony starting. And he just looked at me and he said, you know what, we lost a football game today, but you can lose. Sometimes you have to deal with life losses. This school district is dealing with a life loss, and I wanted my team to witness how they're dealing with it.
Wow.
Incredible emotion.
Incredible.
It was one of the most powerful human things I've ever witnessed at a sporting event. So that's my choice for my most.
Bob Palco's a class act.
He really is. Yeah, he really is. Well, let's move on to another topic here.
How do we go from that to this?
Yeah, I know.
Jeez, John, I'm in the building.
We will carry on here. How much does youth football, by youth I mean the midget levels, I'm talking ages 6 to 12, youth football, how much does it impact a varsity or high school football program? Michael, start with you on this one. Does it have a major impact, no impact, somewhat? What's your take on this?
It's a major impact. Look at the teams in our area that have win consistently. What do they all have in common? A strong midget youth football program where these kids are taught the Carter City way. You can kind of go. Carter City is just one example because they've been doing it for a long time. The Mars way. They've been taught from an early age what's expected of them when they get to varsity, what kind of offense they're going to run when they get to varsity. All this stuff that they need to know. And they all the coaches are on the same page, everyone's on the same page, so by the time they get to the high school age, even if they don't start right away, they know what's expected of them, they know what the X's and O's, and they have pride in the program. That's where it starts. And the programs that struggle are the ones that don't have a good youth program, don't have consistency at that level, so I think it's huge, it's major. It might be one of the most important things to building a football program is what you do at that youth level.
Derek, what's your thoughts on this subject?
Well, I'm focused on the second sentence here. It says, is it more important to have successful programs at the junior high and freshman levels than the youth program? Obviously, if I have my choice, I would rather have successful programs the closer you get to high school. So you'd be talking about, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. But it certainly can't hurt if you have a successful youth program. Kids come into play, and if they're successful as a team, that can keep kids interested. Mm-hmm. And by the time they get to the junior high level, football has just become part of their lives, and it's just something they do, and they stick with it. But I would rather have, if I have my choice, I'd rather have more successful programs at the junior high and freshman level, just because those kids are 1-2 steps away from playing for varsity.
Yeah. I keep looking at high school programs that kind of fluctuate, like some that have good years sometime and poor years other times. Like I'll look at a program, for example, like Knox High School, where they've got the Saxonburg Spartans who've been there forever. Our program has been there for years and years and years, and sometimes Knox has struggling varsity teams, and sometimes they have very strong varsity teams. Same thing with Seneca Valley, their youth program. I look at Butler's and the old midget league when they had 10 or 12 teams of all different neighborhood schools, and back in the 80s and 90s when Butler had winning football, and then they still had that same league in place when they started losing around late 90s and in the current century. It's kind of, I tend to agree with Derek here. I think it's big. I understand your point, Mike. It's big to have those programs in place and get kids interested in the game of football. I think that's where the youth programs, serve their biggest thing. But the junior high and the freshman programs, I think that's where you truly mold a high school program. Well, let's move on to over-under. These things are getting harder and harder to come up with as the year goes on, but I've come up with a couple here. Mike, we'll start with you on this one. Number of playoff wins by Butler County teams this year. I put the over/under at 6.5. What's your thoughts on
I hate
this?
to be a downer, but
Uh-oh.
I'm going under.
You're going
I think
under?
It might be way under.
Whoa.
Actually, yeah. I mean, it's tough. We have
Yeah, it
some
is
good
tough.
teams. We
It's
have
tough.
some good teams. We do, but playoffs are a whole different animal. And I see our teams getting a few playoff wins, but I don't see them getting 7. I really don't.
Okay. Over/under 6.5 on this.
I'm going to be a Derek Downer here.
Derek the Downer.
So I think we're going to have a lot of playoff teams. I do. I just think a lot of them are going to be. They're not going to get a very good seed, and they're going to have some rough matchups in that first round. And 6.5, I'm going under. I think we're going to have a couple teams make maybe a run, and when I say a run, maybe one win. But
Is that really a run?
Yeah,
It's kind of like a jog.
It's a step.
Kind of like a short jump. It's
Kinda like a skip.
It's like a short skip.
So
Yeah,
I'm going under 6.5.
Well, I'm going to be Johnny Upper because I'm going over.
Johnny Upper.
I'm going over. I think almost every
Johnny
year
Packet glass.
we get whichever we get. Glass is half full in my eyes. We seem to always find a team, sometimes expected, sometimes not, that finds a way to win 3 playoff games. We almost all like you look at the way Cincinnati Valley come out of nowhere last year. They went on that nice playoff run last year. I think I can see one of our teams doing that again, and I can see our others combining for 4 wins. I don't think it's going to be way over, but I think we're going to get 7 wins. So I'm going.
Could be Union
over
AC
on that
Valley.
one.
That could
Oh, really could
a
be.
good team.
Yeah, it really could be.
Maybe your last team standing.
Yeah, one of these weeks we're going to have to predict that too. One week is a little closer to the playoffs. But my other over/under for the week, combined passing yardage. I picked out 3 teams that really seem to have an ability to throw the football. Seneca Valley, Freeport, and North Catholic. Over/under combined passing yardage this week, 600.5. Derek, I'll start with you on this one. Will these 3 teams combine to throw for more than that, more than 600 and a half yards or less?
I think I'm going to go over here because I'm looking at these 3 teams and their 3 matchups this week. I think all 3 are going to be involved in tight games, and I think they're going to have to throw the ball to win. And I can see one of these kids throwing for 250, which would obviously bring the average down to get to 600 for the other 2. So I think Gabe Lawson's certainly capable of a big game this week at Hempfield. We know what Garrett Schaffhauser's capable of, and I think they're going to be involved in a slobber knocker.
Now slobber knocker coming into play
against Deer Lakes and Zach Rocco at North Catholic. I think these 3 kids can combine for over 600.
You know, people could have a drinking game when they watch us now. Every time someone
We don't want to go there. We don't recommend that.
I don't know if
We don't
people
recommend
want to. I don't know if people want to drink at 5 in the afternoon, but there's probably some people out there who would.
Mike, over/under 600 and a half of these 2 weeks.
I went back and forth on this, but looking at these matchups, I'm going to go a little bit over because I think maybe one of these guys is going to throw, like Eric said, for 250, maybe more, and that's going to take the burden off of some of them. I see 2 of them throwing for over 200, and maybe another one throwing for about $150. So, yeah, I see it going over because, like Derek said, all 3 of these games, all 3 of these quarterbacks are going to be involved in games that could require them to throw the ball down the field and throw the ball more than maybe a blowout would, or either way. So I'm going to go a little bit over. I think that's a pretty good line or whatever. It's to set 600.5.
I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I'm going over as well. I agree with Derek. I think Deer Lake Freeport could become a passing shootout.
Yeah, it could.
I think Gabe Lawson's going to get his out at Hempfield and in North Catholic, no matter who they play. And they have a tough one with Elizabeth Forward this week.
But they're so
But
who knows what they're going to do?
they are. But Zach Rocco always seems to get his passing yardage. He always seems to find a way to get it.
Although
So I'm most likely
he can throw for 50 this week because we don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree with you on that. North Catholic to me is by far the most hardest team to predict.
They're
what they're
just
going to do.
all over the map.
Yeah.
They really are.
Well, let's look at our. I put on this week 5 schedule. It's actually week 6. My bad there. I'm losing track of these weeks. See, the week 0 thing screws me up too.
It should be week 7 actually. So you're 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're right. It could be 2 weeks now. But I was thinking about week 0 when I put that down. So I'm actually 1 week off. But anyway, I digress.
It's week whatever. Let's just call it that.
Okay, North Allegheny, the undefeated Tigers, 6-0. They're 5-0 in section play. They've been rolling people. Derek, they come to Butler where the Tornado just 25 healthy players last week. They're getting a few more back this week from the discipline issues, so they will have a few more this week. But how do you see this game in NA at Butler?
I was very impressed by North Allegheny last week. You come into Seneca's place, and Seneca Valley's got a talented team this year, and they're up 21-0. NA is after one quarter, 31-0 at halftime. We knew it. North Allegheny had a good team, but it's almost like they're hitting their stride now, which is scary for other teams. And this week, it's going to be scary for Butler. 42-7 Tigers.
Mike, NA Butler, what are your thoughts?
Well, you're NA, right? You just come off probably your best game of the year against a Seneca Valley team. Your chest is a little bit puffed out. You're coming into Butler. You're looking at their roster. You're thinking, they only got like 25, 30 guys. We can just show up and
So
win.
you think they're going to sleep through this game?
I think they're going to get off to a slow start, but
Okay.
I don't think they're going to lose by any means. I think Cooper Baxter is going to have a pretty good game against NA. He's going to show that he belongs among the best players in Whitfield. But NA, after a shaky start, I think they'll win. I don't think they're going to put 50 up. I think they're going to win 42-14.
Wow.
I think Butler's going to. I think combination of NA maybe overlooking Butler, and Butler saying, look, we're getting some guys back. We're playing the best team arguably in 6A. Let's leave it all out there. And Cooper Baxter, like I said earlier, I'm just continually amazed.
He's a gritty player. He is.
And I think he's going to will a couple touchdowns out of his team this week.
Well, that would end a long streak if that happens. Butler has not scored more than 7 points against North Allegheny since 2006. Since 2006,
they have a
scored.
better offense.
They do. But I'm picking that. I think that, unfortunately for Butler, I think that streak's going to continue. I see him scoring once against them, but that's it. I'm going 45-7 NA in that game. Seneca Valley, Derek, you touched on it earlier. A very disappointing performance last week against the Tigers. They travel to Hempfield. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, Hempfield is 1-4 in the conference. A few weeks ago, they dropped the game against Cannon McMillan, which really hurt their playoff chances. They still have a shot. They're desperate, and because of that, it's a road game. I think Hempfield's going to come out and basically they're not going to pull any punches. They're going to do everything they can to try to stay in the playoff race with this. I think Seneca's going to win, but I think it's going to be a tight game. I have Seneca Valley winning 28-17. It won't be easy though, and I'll be there. I get to get on.
Yeah, yes, you'll beat that one. Mike, what are your thoughts? You can do the Raiders bounce back after a tough one last week.
Okay, so kind of the same theme with NA. Okay, you're Seneca Valley. You're coming off probably your worst game.
Yeah,
This your worst half of the year.
Oh
yeah. You're feeling maybe not down about yourself, but you're feeling like what's going on. So you want to go in, you want to make a statement. I think they get off to a fast start against Hempfield, and I think Hempfield though kind of responds to that, and it makes it a slobber knocker. But I see Seneca winning 35-21.
A 14-point game, that's a slobber knocker?
Yeah.
Come on, okay, all right. Or do you see Seneca putting a game away late? Do you see him?
No, they're going to get off to a fast start, and then Hempfield's
okay.
going to come back a little bit and make it a little interesting. But
Okay, all right.
it's still a slobber knocker.
Okay, that's slobber knocker. I'm picking Seneca Valley to win this one 28-14. I think their pride was wounded a little bit, getting beaten that badly by a rival on their home field, and it was Seneca's homecoming too, wasn't it? Last
Yes,
week?
it was.
Yeah, that kind of hurts. They're going to bounce back. I can see them
injury
winning.
there.
Yeah, I can see them winning by a couple touchdowns also. Mike, we'll start with you on this one. The Knock Knights, as we mentioned earlier, their offense was shut out against Montour last week. Tough loss in overtime. First loss of the year for the Knights. They're traveling to play a 5-1 South Fayette team that is 3-0 in league play. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, this would have been a tough game for Knock if we knew what Matt Goodland's status was. If he was that banged up at the end of the game where he couldn't even get into the handshake line, you wonder what his availability is.
Sure, it makes you wonder.
He's a tough kid, though. I can't imagine him missing this game against South Fayette because it is such a big game on their schedule. But what kind of shape is he going to be in? What kind of percentage is he going to be? Is he going to be 70%, 75%? Still, 75% of Matt Goodland is still pretty good. But South Fayette is pretty good, too. And it's a road game, and Knock doesn't to traditionally play well against South Fayette, so I think South.
Not many teams do, actually.
Not many teams do, of course. Yeah, but Knock, it doesn't either. So I see South Fayette winning this one. I'm going to say 28-10.
By the way, follow your Butler Eagle this week, and we will update you on the Matt Goodland status. So don't forget to read your Butler Eagle football coverage throughout the week. Derek, your thoughts? Knock South Fayette. Can the Knights bounce? Or I'm not going to pose that question. Will the Knights bounce back and get a major upset at South Fayette?
I thought this was going to be Knock's first loss of the season. I wasn't expecting him to lose to Montour last week. But South Fayette is such a strong program. And as you guys have talked about, Matt Goodland, if he does play, if he was that badly hurt last week, I can't imagine he's going to be 100% this week. He might play, but he's not going to be. I can't think he's going to be 100%. And for me, it all adds up to a 10-point win for South Fayette. I'm picking the Lions 27-17.
Yeah, this game, I'm picking South Fayette also. They've got 9 players on their roster who have scored multiple touchdowns this year, and they only played 6 games. That's pretty impressive. Quarterback's throwing for 1,161 yards. They've got a running back who's run for 380 and 8 touchdowns. This is a versatile team that uses a lot of players. Even a defense as strong as Knock is going to have trouble. I'm picking South Fayette 27-14.
By the way, how did we do last week? I don't think we did that. What Scoop did and how we did.
Yeah, let's interrupt our picks right now. Let's go to that.
Halftime of our picks.
That's right.
John, Mike, Scoop 10-1. Me 9-2.
Oh, which game did you miss that we did?
I picked St. Mary's.
Oh, that's right. You did 6 things.
Thanks for rubbing that in.
Hey, I had to bring that up. Sorry.
But it's while we're on the subject, updated standings. I'm still in first place at 49.
Yeah, he's still in first place.
Well, already updated standings. Let's hear the updated
49-12. You two are both 48-13, and Scoop's bringing up the rear.
Scoop is in last.
47-14.
Well,
he has as many losses now as he did all last
year. He can't lose a game the rest of the year.
Wow. All right. Let's move forward with our picks here.
He's the Red Sox of the prediction game this year.
We have the Mars Planets who outlasted Shaler in a game that I covered last week. Just as Teddy Ruffner's running against the Shaler quarterbacks passing last week. A great game. Derek, Mars at North Hills becomes pretty, not a critical game, but an important game for both teams.
This is what I was talking about earlier. Our team, I think a lot of our teams are going to get to the playoffs, but a lot of them aren't going to get there with the seed they won. Mm-hmm. And I think this is one of these teams is going to be able to look back in a month. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to say, man, if we could have grabbed that one, we'd be a better seed. North Hills is actually coming off 2 straight losses, but they're both non-conference losses. Mm-hmm. Peters Township and Gateway.
Yep.
Before that, they won 4 straight, including 3 straight conference games.
Right.
The similarities between these two teams, they both run the ball most of the time. Mm-hmm. The difference is Mars does it with 90% of the time Teddy Ruffner.
Yeah.
North Hills has 4 guys with at least like 260 yards. They got kind of a running back by committee. Pat Carey, defensive background. Mars attempted 4 passes last week. They didn't complete any of them.
Nope.
They are one-dimensional in every sense of the word. I think Pat Carey finds a way to get his team up to maybe not stop Teddy Ruffner, but slow him down enough. I think North Hills wins at home 20-16 this week.
Mike, Mars at North Hills, pretty good matchup here.
Mars is going to have to find a way to hit a pass or two to have a chance in this game. Because North Hills, everyone who plays Mars now is going to know. They've probably known this for weeks. It's Teddy Ruffner left, Teddy Ruffner right, Teddy Ruffner up the middle, Teddy Ruffner everywhere. Now, it's easier said than done to stop Teddy Ruffner because he's such a good running back and that line is so good. But when you're one-dimensional and you're playing a good team on the road, you have to find a way not to be as one-dimensional as you are. And I just don't think Mars is going to be able to hit a couple passes that they're going to need to hit until they prove me wrong. Maybe they'll prove me wrong this week. And I think North Hills is going to do enough to hem in Teddy Ruffner enough that they're going to win this game. I think it's going to be a slobber knocker. It's going to be 24-21 North Hills.
I agree. Slobber knocker here all the way. This game is a slobber knocker
written
all over it.
Our producer's drunk because he's doing a drinking game.
This game is slobber knocker written all over it. But I disagree with you guys, though. I think Mars wins this game. I think Teddy Ruffner and it's not just Ruffner himself. He's got a lot of help. Those wingbacks, like I said, I saw them play last week. Those wingbacks are incredible blockers.
Yeah, they are.
And
Well,
that
our
offensive line
is good.
that offensive line is also good. Mars is not afraid to stack it up and pound it against anyone.
Yeah,
They'll do that to this defense. They'll try to grind out drives because North Hills, as you mentioned, Derek, has a lot of speed, a lot of versatility in their backfield. And Mars, let's face it, Mars does not like facing speed. They struggle when they play speed teams. But so North Hills, they're going to get theirs. But Mars wins this game 31-28.
31-28.
I expect a really tight game.
Teddy's got help running the ball as far as blocking, but he's got like 80% of the rushing yards. There's like nobody else.
He does.
Well,
But every team they play, everyone knows that's going to be the case, and no one's stopping.
Well, North Hills is a different animal. I'm telling you.
They are rough.
If I had Teddy Ruffner, I would get with the ball 90% of the time. I mean, have you seen this? You've seen this guy.
Oh, I've seen him. Yeah.
Have you seen how big and fast? I would.
He is put together.
So someone could stop him. I'd give him the ball.
He's a catcher on the baseball team. You know he's tough.
I didn't get a chance to talk to him until after that game. If he was already out of his uniform, put on his street clothes, and I saw him, and this kid's put together. He really is put together. So he's an incredible player.
He's going to be a force somewhere at this level.
Speaking of being a force, Deer Lakes and Freeport, a couple of forces in the passing game here. Derek, we'll start with you here. A couple teams like to throw the football. What do you think on Deer Lakes Freeport?
They're making the playoffs is not a common occurrence at Deer Lakes. Right now, they're sitting at 3-2. Down the stretch, they've got some. Obviously, this is a tough game against Freeport. They've got other tough matchups down the stretch. I think if Deer Lakes is going to make the playoffs, they need this game.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose, it's not like they're eliminated. But I think their coach maybe not on the record to anybody, including his players. But he's thinking if we make the playoffs this year, we need this game. I think Freeport pulls this out, but I think this is going to be instant classic. 33-28 shootout. I think there's going to be some big numbers put up in this game. And I like the Yellow Jackets to put a damper on the Lancers' playoff hopes. But you know, John, Deer Lakes has been down for years.
Oh, they have been. Yeah.
And they're 3-2 right now, but Freeport's kind of desperate too because they got off to that 0-3 start.
Yep.
I like Freeport by 5, 33-28.
Mike, Deer Lakes Freeport, what do you think?
Freeport needs to either A, win the coin toss and get the ball first, or B, if they don't win the toss, kick the ball out of bounds. Because 2 straight weeks they've given up a touchdown.
They have.
Kickoff.
Yep, they have.
They can't do that again against Deer Lakes. They can't just spot a team 7 points.
But they more than make up. But
they make up for
it later with returns of their own.
You don't want to be 7-0
at
home right off the bat again. Obviously, I don't think it's going to happen again 3 times in a row. That would be crazy if that happened again. But yeah, this is going to be a shootout. I'm covering this game. I'm going to have to bring an extra pen for all the ink I'm going to write for the passing and the calculator because I think both teams are going to light it up through the air. Garrett Schaffhauser keeps getting better and better every week. Brody Woods is an incredible weapon at wide receiver for Freeport. He runs great routes. He tracks the ball well in the air, and he can go up and get it. Those 2 guys, I think, are going to have big games. I think Freeport's going to win this game. It is going to be a shootout. It's going to be. I'm looking forward to this because it's going to be a fun game to watch. I might not be back till 11 o'clock at night on the passing, but it's going to be a fun night. I see Freeport winning 38-28.
I see Freeport's defense being the difference in this game.
They'll probably have a defensive touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm predicting that too.
Both of these teams have dynamic pass games. We've touched on that. Garrett Schaffhauser, everyone knows about him. You look at Eris Hazley for Deer Lakes. He's throwing for 1,492 yards, 17 touchdowns. But he's been picked off 8 times though. But he does spread the ball around. But I think Freeport's defense is a little better than Deer Lakes' defense, so hold them down enough to win the game. I'm picking Freeport 35-20. Moving on to, and here's a pretty good matchup too. Elizabeth Forward at the unpredictable North Catholic Trojans. Mike, how do you see this one?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
It could be a low-scoring game. It could be a 54-50 game. Who knows with North Catholic? They could throw for 400 yards. They can throw for 40. Who knows from week to week with North Catholic?
Pretty big section game though.
It's a very big section game. again, to me, this is a coin flip, but I'm going to go with North Catholic because I think they're going to find a way to come out with this. I'm going to go with a mid-range score. I'm going to say 28-24. North Catholic.
Derek, Warriors versus the Trojans.
I hedged my bets there.
What are your thoughts on this one?
The winner of this game is most likely going to win the conference.
Yeah, probably. We're probably right about that.
I think I feel confident saying that. I know you can't look at just common opponents, and that's the only thing there's out there. But I look at North Catholic played Derry, beat them 13-3. Elizabeth Forward played Derry this past week, lost 26-17.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that North Catholic's defense is going to find a way to hold down Elizabeth Forward. They have a good offense, but I think Eamon Straub at linebacker and company, I think North Catholic finds a way to hold the Warriors down, and North Catholic comes away from this with a 23-10 win.
Yeah, I tend to believe it's going to be more of a shootout than that. I'm picking North Catholic also, but I'm picking 34-24. I can see both. I can see these teams trading points for a while, but North Catholic will put it away in the fourth quarter.
There's no predicting it.
No, there really is.
Predicting
You're
North
right.
Catholic.
Hard to predict this one.
They're impossible to pick.
Another interesting game in District 9 this week up at Kane, the Carson City Gremlins, coming off an impressive win over St. Mary's last week. At St. Mary's, they make another trip north. Mike, Casey at Kane. Kane's lost once. Carson City's lost twice. What are your thoughts on this game?
Carson City's getting a lot of mileage on their bus here.
Yes, they are.
They got to pile into their bus and take another long road trip. Last week, they took a long road trip to St. Mary's, started off slow, but turned it on in the second half. They can't start slow against a team of the caliber of Kane. I don't think they will. I think they learned maybe a little bit from last week. Maybe they're going to adjust their travel or do something to try to get up to a better start because they can't afford another slow start like they had last week against St. Mary's, against Kane. So I think Carson City guts this one out on the road, 27-20.
Derek, what do you think? The Gremlins versus the Wolves.
Mars High School has Teddy Ruffner. Kane has Teddy Race.
Yes, they do.
Running back Teddy Race, he's teaming with Jake Alcorn. The two have combined for about 800 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns this year. Kane's only loss was this past week. They lost to Clarion, and that game was like a 2 or 3 point game at halftime. Clarion pulled away in the second half. Kane's a very formidable opponent, and I hate to do this because I picked against Carson City last week and they made me look stupid, but I'm picking Kane here. 25-20. Very good game though, but I think Kane just has a little too much. Playing at home too. I think that's a big difference. I got Carson City losing to Kane 25-20.
Well, you mentioned Teddy Race on offense. How about Teddy Race on defense? Have you seen his defensive numbers? 84 tackles through 6 games, 12 tackles for loss, 7.5 quarterback sacks. This kid's a beast. I mean, and I think he's going to disrupt what Carson City's going to try to do here. I'm also picking Kane in a close game, 28-21. But this could also be a slobber knocker. That really could be. This could really be a good game. Mike, we'll start with you on this next one. Brockway got their first win last week. They traveled down to Montauk to face the Warriors, who, as I mentioned earlier, gave Brookville quite a fight. What are your thoughts on this game?
Montauk, I said earlier that they were winless. They're not. They won again.
Yeah, they did.
So I wanted to correct that. They get their second win against Brockway this week. And they're starting to get healthy. Like I said earlier, I think they're starting to find out who they are, their identity. It's hard to find your identity when you're missing guys. Now when guys come back, you can start to see that formula that they did, the formula that they used last year, is starting to resurface again this year. I think Montauk is going to be a tough out down the stretch here, and Brockway is going to find that out. Montauk's going to win. I think they're going to put some points on the board too. I see them scoring 35. See a 35-17 win.
Oh. Derek, what are your thoughts on the Rovers and the Warriors?
This is the We Beat Bradford Bowl. Montauk's
yes,
only
it
won
is.
against
That's
Bradford.
right.
Brockway beat Bradford last week. I'm looking at Brockway's stats, what I could find on the internet, and other than their game against Bradford, they really struggled to put up any kind of numbers.
Yeah.
And this game's at Montauk, but I just think Montauk's just a better team overall, regardless of where the game's played. I like Montauk to win this one fairly comfortably. I'm going to go with 28-12.
Yeah, it's rare when a high school football team gains a lot of confidence from a loss. But I think Montauk did exactly that last week, and they played Brookville so well, and they know in their hearts that the turnovers cost them, their own mistakes cost them. I think they clean it up this week at Brockway's expense. I'm picking the Warriors also 27-13. How about those Falcon Knights? They're on a 5-game winning streak, 5-1. They're coming home this week to face Keystone. Mike, what are your thoughts on this one? AC Valley's 5-1, and they got an interesting Keystone team coming to town.
Well, I've been on the AC Valley bandwagon, Union AC Valley bandwagon for a while, and nothing is kicking me out of that seat after what they did last week at Port Allegheny.
Yep.
They're really a very dynamic team. They're good on defense. They got guys flying around on defense and making plays everywhere. They got the running game going. They still have a pretty good quarterback in Luke Bowser. They got weapons in the passing game. They're a complete package. It's amazing what they've been able to do here over the last few weeks, where their defense has really shut people down. I think they're going to shut Keystone down too. I see Union AC Valley again only giving up 7 points. I think they win 22-7.
Yeah, Tanner Merwin, 2 pick sixes last week.
Yes.
We failed to mention that earlier. We should mention that. He had 3 picks in the game and brought 2 back for touchdowns in their 32-7 win last week at Port Allegheny. Derek, what are your thoughts? Falcon Knights against the Panthers.
Before the season, few would have picked this game to be a matchup of 2 5-1 teams. That's what we have here.
Yes, it is.
2 5-1 teams. Keystone actually just clinched their first playoff berth since 2009. They're actually it's weird. They're in the same conference, small school conference, but to kind of make things even out in the schedule, they put Keystone, a double-A team, in the small school division. Keystone's the smallest double-A school in District 9, so that's why they're in Union AC Valley's conference. I think I look at the wins that Keystone has this year, and they pretty much beat the teams you expect. I think Union AC Valley's wins are a little bit more impressive, including a win they have over Elk County Catholic earlier this season. And the game's at Union AC. It's not like it's a long road trip for Keystone. It's about 10 miles.
Not at all, right?
10 miles.
But just the fact that they are playing at home, and from what I hear, the home crowd for Union AC, Foxburg and Reimersburg are both coming together, converge to give this team support, which is nice to see because it's 2 different towns.
A winning streak will do that.
Yeah, 26-15. I like the Falcon Knights to move to 6-1.
All right. I'm staying on that bandwagon as well. The Falcon Knights. I have the Falcon Knights winning this game 21-13. I expect this to be a real fight though. Keystone's going to come in here. This could be one of the prime games of the week in my view. Conneaut area coming to Slippery Rock. Mike, we'll start with you on this one. You cover the Rockets on a regular basis. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
First, before I do it, shout out to Rick Bell, who's Super Rock mainstay. He's always in the press box. He's on the coaching staff. He's watching right now.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I know he's watched in the past, and I haven't given him a shout out. I'm giving him a shout out now. Thanks for watching, Rick. This should interest you because you're a Slippery Rock guy through and through. Conneaut at Slippery Rock. Slippery Rock, like I said earlier, they could be one of the best teams in the district if they can clean things up. I know it's been an issue all year, the turnovers, and not just turnovers, but they've had penalties on defense have given teams first downs. They've had touchdowns called back because of penalties.
Yeah, I was just saying,
they can clean it up.
Yeah.
And I think this is a week they're going to have to do it.
Just failure to finish drives too. They have
finished drives, and not finishing drives.
Right.
They have those triplets and Vito Pelosi, Nathan Hyatt, and David Duffalo. David Duffalo, we've talked about him in the past, just about how good he is on defense. He was a disruptive force again on defense last week. Like Coach Wonderer said, the playoffs start this week. I think you're going to see a different Slippery Rock team. I think Slippery Rock's going to win, and they're going to win convincingly. I think this is the week they clean everything up and they win, and they finally put it all together. I see them winning 35-14.
Ooh.
Yeah, on paper it's close. It's a closer game, but you would think it'd be a closer game. But I think Slippery Rock puts it together.
Okay, Derek, what are your thoughts on this?
Conneaut has accounted for Hickory's only loss this year, and Meadville's only loss this year.
Okay.
So what is Conneaut? What's your record, by the way?
5-1.
5-1.
No,
Yeah,
4-2.
4-2.
They're 4-2. They're 4-2. 31-21 Conneaut.
Oh.
I think it's a tough game. I was getting ready to pick Slippery Rock until I saw that Conneaut has accounted for Hickory's only loss and Meadville. And here, both of those games, they beat Meadville and Hickory by a combined score of 78-19. That's what turned me. But good luck, Larry. I mean, honestly, I love Larry Wonder.
I saw the same thing that Derek saw, but the thing is with this region in this district, from week to week, they're kind of like North Catholic. You don't know from week to week. One week a team looks great, the next week they don't. So it makes it hard to predict. But I think Slippery Rock, again, if they can clean things up, they're gonna do big things, and I think they start this week.
Yeah, I tend to side with Mike on this one. I think Slippery Rock is due to put a game together. And that, even in games they've won, they really haven't put a total game together.
Even last week against Titusville, 42-13. They had 2 turnovers in their first 2 possessions. Another touchdown was called back because of penalty early in that game. They had a number of offsides penalties on defense that gave Titusville first down. So.
I like Slippery Rock. Can I make my pick now?
Yeah, you can make your pick now.
I like Slippery Rock.
I'm going to let you finish.
Done now? Finished?
I'm done.
Okay. I like Slippery Rock to win 35-21. That's my pick in that game. We go to one more game, and Derek will start with you on this one. Summit Academy still looking for the first win. They have to travel to Shadyside Academy for a Friday night game. Does Summit get one?
Do they though?
This is an interesting game, and when you look at the how many games on it could you see the game going either way? Pretty much almost all of them, right? That's our schedule.
Good bit of them
this week, and this is one of them. Before 2 weeks ago, I would have picked Shadyside Academy to win this game by 4 touchdowns, but last week they had to forfeit their game against Paula Ridge because they didn't have enough healthy players.
That's true.
So I'm assuming that somehow, some way, they're going to find a way to get enough kids this week. But if their numbers are that down, I do think Summit can keep this game close. I got Shadyside winning, but I got them winning a slobber knocker. 21-14. I think Summit's going to keep this close because we don't know what Shadyside's numbers exactly are, but we know they're coming off a week where they were unable to play. So,
Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, this is Summit's chance to win. I have to believe though that last week's forfeit will help Shadyside Academy in the long run. I think they're probably going to get a number of these guys back this week, and we don't know who was out. You know, maybe some key players were out, and they knew, okay, we just got to bag this. We just got to forfeit this game because if we throw the kids that we have out there, I'm talking about last week, we could have even more injury problems. But I think they get a number of those kids back. I think Shadyside Academy is going to win by a couple scores. I see it 26-8.
Yeah, I think Summit's got a shot at this game also, but I just don't trust Summit's defense. They're starting to score a few points now, but they haven't shown me that they can really stop teams, and I think that's going to get them this week. I picked Shadyside Academy to win 34-18. I think someone will punch it in 3 times, but they're going to give up too many points here. Brings us to our last segment of this week's show. It's the "and how about something else" segment, and I can't help but I look at the Slippery Rock and Corn City's boys and girls soccer teams and their domination in their respective regions. Well, Slippery Rock in their region, Corn City in District 9. Derek, we're going to you first on this. What is it about these two programs that now it's been maybe a little while now where they've just been dominant in their, not just locally, but in their respective regions and districts?
I think it's a standard that's set. We just got done talking earlier about the football at the youth level, moving up to the junior high level, and once those kids get to the varsity program at both of those schools, and in both boys and girls, you know, the kids know what's expected. They see what's done to succeed, and they kind of feel like if I don't do this, I'm kind of letting the team down. If I don't do this, I'm going to be the weak link. I really believe that. And a lot of people say, well, Corn City competes in a weak district. Slippery Rock competes in a weak region up in District 10. One of the reasons they're so dominant is because they are able to sustain that standard, and I think they should be given credit for that. Because I mean, when you're playing teams that you might have more talent than, but you also have that standard. The kids, the effort that they put forth. The effort they put in moving up to the varsity level, and then they get to the varsity level, and how many times you see freshmen at Karn City and Slick Rock performing really well. Freshmen.
Oh, yeah.
All the time, especially at Karn City. You see freshmen all the time, and that just speaks to the level those kids are playing at, the caliber they play at as they move up to the varsity level. And I think they should be given credit for dominating, in Slick Rock's case, their region, and in Karn City's case, for a lot of years, the district. The girls have, 23 titles in 26 years at Karn City, which is crazy.
Now,
that's a dynasty.
It is.
Take that.
That's a dynasty.
That's a dynasty. Karn City girls soccer dynasty.
Mike, what I can't figure out about the situation with both these schools is clearly the bar set high, the standards there. But what I don't understand is how some other soccer programs in those respective regions and districts aren't at least approaching them, because I just see these two programs way above everybody else.
Well, in Silver Rock's case, there have been teams that have approached them.
Yep.
Over the years.
More recently than Grove City's case.
Hickory girls were really good for a while.
Yeah.
They've fallen off. Grove City girls and boys were really good for a while. They kind of fell off. But again, kind of speaking to Derek's point, the consistent team in District 10 in that region has been Slippery Rock. Boys and girls, they always find a way to reload every year. Look at the roster sizes. If you want to find out why they're able to sustain this, right. They got 25 kids on their roster. Same thing with Karn City, boys and girls. They have a lot of participation. And when you have a lot of participation, you have a lot of talent. We need to find a way to do a story on this and dig into it. But where are these kids coming from that make such a big impact at Karn City as freshmen? Where are they playing in their youth soccer, and who's coaching them? Because, man, when they get to the varsity level,
they're ready to
freshmen
roll.
Every year. They're ready to roll.
They are.
There's got to be some kind of amazing feeder program somewhere in that school district that's producing these players year after year after year. I mean, it just seems like you just change the names and you get the same result. So like I said, Silver region this year, it's a down both in boys and girls, but it isn't always like that. So they always have a few teams in their region that are competitive, but this year it seems like there's a big glut. But again, why haven't they had a glut? Is because they have established a program that has staying power.
Yeah, I look at Karn City's boys soccer program. I think a lot of credit for that. For their domination, it has to go to the Karn City football players, because there are a number of Gremlin football players who are playing soccer and playing soccer well for that team. Oftentimes, and we've touched on this in the past on this show, oftentimes the very next day they come back out and don the soccer unis and go out there and play.
And the next morning they're playing after playing a football game at St. Mary's the night before.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they do it.
But talking to the Slip Rock girls coach, and it was interesting. She is desperate. The former Sarah Sasser. I apologize, her married name escapes me right now, but she is looking for competition, because she admits by the time the playoffs roll around, if we don't start playing more competitive opponents, it's going to hurt us in the playoffs. And that's why they played Freeport recently.
That's why that was such a
game
good
that I
game
covered, and that was a great girls soccer game. And Slip Rock's boys kind of in the same boat. They're looking for competition. So
yeah, they started out playing it. They played a tough non-league schedule, and they started 0-3. But once they got into region play, they've been on a roll. So I think that's why everyone saw their 0-3 start. The Silver Rock boys were like, "Oh, what's wrong with them?" There's nothing wrong with them. They played really, really good competition, because they knew we got to play really good competition wherever we can. And it just so happened to be the first 3 matches of the season. Now they're in region play and they're rolling teams again. So I think that 0-3 start was actually good for them, because they got to play some really good teams. They got to see who they had. They got to see top-notch competition, and it's going to help them down the road. Hopefully they can remember what those games were like at the end of the season, because they're going to go a while without having that kind of pressure again.
Oh, yeah. All 4 of these soccer programs, the boys and girls at Slip Rock and Karn City, they don't worry about their one-loss record. They know they're going to the playoffs. They want the competition. They want to season themselves, get themselves ready for postseason play. This will conclude our program for this week. If you have not yet checked out the Sunday Butler Eagle and the Get in the Game logo that goes across the top of every page, it's there for a reason. We cover 6 or 7 games every Friday night. We take pictures of 4 or 5 different games every Friday night. Pictures that aren't in the paper, they're posted on our Facebook page, on our website. You need to check it out. I've talked to other newspapers, and they don't cover more than 2 to 3 high school games a Friday. We're hitting 6 or 7 of them. We're hitting 6 or 7.
They're amazed. They're absolutely amazed by the coverage that we have on Friday nights. We do more coverage of high school football, then I think you'd be hard pressed to find any newspaper in the state that does the coverage that we do.
There's other papers you get a nibble. With us, you get a feast.
You got a feast. If you are a high school football
four-course dinner.
all right, let's not get carried away here. If you are a high school football fan, check out Sunday's Butler Eagle. That's all I'm saying. We will see. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
That's all I'm going to say about that.